Hi, my name is Kenneth Carlsen, and you are listening to Functional Tennis Podcast.
Welcome to the video episode of the Functional Tennis Podcast. I'm your host, Fabio Male, and every week I speak to players, coaches, trainers, and more working at the highest level of tennis. Today I speak to Kenneth Carlsen. Kenneth is a former pro. He's former ATP top number 41. He won 3 tour titles, and he was Davis Cup and Fed Cup captain for Denmark, and more recently he's been commentating and working with some great juniors. He was early days working with Holger Rune and Clara Tauson. He tells us all about them as young juniors, what makes them special, what makes them tick, and he also gives advice based on those learnings and what you should be working with on your juniors, how many hours you're spending on court. And he also works with another promising junior who we showcase on Functional Tennis a bit, a young kid called Philip, who is 10 and he's amazing. And he just goes through his early years working with Philip, which is really interesting. He also tells us advice from his pro days, what he learned, what he would have done differently, and also how he's brought his learnings from being on the pro tour, how he's brought them into coaching today. He also tells us about his favourite match, playing Stefan Edberg at Wimbledon. It's very fun. Also, a shout out to our podcast sponsor Slinger, who make the awesome portable ball machine, the Slinger Bag. Head over to slingerbag.com to check it out. If you have any questions about it, you can message me directly, as I'm an avid Slinger Bag user. And finally, if you find this episode useful, you get some great bits from it, I'd really appreciate if you could share it, be it this YouTube video or our actual podcast. Share it with your fellow tennis enthusiasts, coaches, parents, players. It would mean a lot. It helps spread the word about the Functional Tennis Podcast and some of the great guests we have, like Kenneth today, and so many more we've had. We've actually had 160, this is our 162nd episode. So there's so much to learn from there. And okay, let's get straight into this episode with Kenneth. Hope you enjoy it. Hi, Kenneth. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome to the 162nd Functional Tennis episode. So it's great to have you on. And tell me, how's life in Denmark?
Life is very good. It's today the sun is shining. It's summer, and there's a lot of good tennis, and I have a lot of practice with some players. And also, actually, right now I'm also commentating from Montreal. So a lot of tennis and some good weather here in Copenhagen.
So you're on the pulse with top juniors and the top players, so you're everywhere. But tell me, what sort of players? I know a couple of players, well, some you've worked with, some you're working with, but what's your day like now, and how do you mix in the commentary?
Well, right now, I was before, just to give you a little bit of history, when I stopped playing, I was head of Bosniaki Tennis Academy. And then after that, I was in the federation, head of the elite there as a national coach and Davis Cup captain and Fed Cup captain, now Billie Jean King Cup captain. Then I stopped that because I went to a club here in Copenhagen, HIK, who wanted to start a high performance unit. And I stopped there in that club like 3-4 months ago and went private with some a lot of the players to give me a little bit more free time, also with the family and doing both tennis and commentating. So it's been, but you know, one of the things that I really burn for is to try to make good players and try to do to make the tennis culture even better than it is, because we've been building through many years. I believe very much in culture, and that we inspire each other, and the coaches are inspiring each other. So good coaches are giving knowledge to the players, and hopefully we make good players and a lot of interest for tennis.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the right path. You have some good players coming up of all ages. But when you're the HIK, so you would have worked with Holger there.
Yeah, I was responsible for Holger Rune and Clara Tauson and 2 other players who had very high potential internationally. And so far it looks like both Clara and Holger, or it doesn't look like, but they're doing really well, and I have very high hope for them. And I know them since very young. I think Holger was also on the Bosniaki Tennis Academy. I don't remember exactly how old it was. If he was 9-10 years old when he started there. And then when I came to HIK for the high performance, he was, I think, around 12, and Clara also came, and she was the same age. So I was responsible for them for the high performance for that period of time. But Holger also has another coach. He has Lars, who is also still traveling with him, and he was traveling with him all the time. So he was kind of the main coach, and traveling with him. But I was responsible for the whole team. I had to practice with Holger when he was home, and also with Clara. I also traveled with Clara Tauson for the juniors. And so I thought both of these players had huge potential very young. Also had the privilege, of course, to be on the tour myself and see a lot of good players when they're growing up, and was also working for a while with Caroline Wozniacki. I knew Caroline Wozniacki since she was like 12. So you gotta get a kind of feeling of, what it requires to become number one in the world, to be able to make players who can win Grand Slams, which Caroline did. And see what does it require in a very young age to see, okay, does these players have the potential, and then work with them and give them the opportunity to be the best they can be.
And just not so recent, because Holger and Clara aren't that old. So looking back at them at a young age, you said you saw them at 9, then at 12 again. Were they a step above other juniors at that age, or was it quite similar and then you saw a quick jump because they were working harder? What separated them, and what's allowed them to, let's say Holger at 19 is top 100 in the world, it's even could be 40 now, I think. What's allowed him to be so developed at a young age?
Well, I always thought he was going to be a big star. I still think he's going to be a big star. I think he has potential to win Grand Slams and be number one in the world. And he was very good, very young. He was in a good age, 2003, both nationally and internationally. We had in PTS, I think it was first time ever for Denmark, for sure. We had number 1 and 2 seed. We had Holger Rune and Elmar Møller, which was, so they had competitiveness in the early years, even from Denmark. But he was always looking at the international players and like Alcaraz and other of his age, and trying to be the best of his age. And he was in a good age. It's different from age to age how good they are. But this 2003 seems like it's a good age. So he always wanted to be the best. He has hugely interest in tennis. His passion. He has passion for tennis, and you need passion to be able to do it, because it requires a lot of work. It requires not only work on court but off court also, and sometimes it's also tough times. So you have to have passion. You really want to have it. I say that to become a very good player, a player who has potential to be really, really good, you have to be very strong, technically, tactically, physically, and mentally. And that's just the headlines. Then there's a lot of under the headlines that you need to take off to be able to be number 1 in the world, a top 10 or Grand Slam player.
You need the team also, and you need giving you the right direction. Like, I think you can be naturally gifted and put in the work, but I think
no, you're totally right. Today it's much more about teamwork than you think, because you see all the big players who has a big team, but even as a young age, the players has great teams. They have 1 or 2 coaches, they have parents, they have maybe managers, they have physical coaches, mental coaches. It's a professional setup from a very young age today. So you need to be, the players also need to be a little bit lucky that they're born in the right place where they meet the right people, and maybe also sometimes to have the right parents. So it requires a lot, and it's also very expensive to make a tennis player these days, because there's a lot of expenses both for coaches but also traveling. And it requires a big commitment from the parents these days. I
think the financial part is a big part, and for tennis families, I speak to quite a few parents, and those that don't come that's from, let's say, a background with experience at pro level tennis, maybe it's their first kid and they're getting into tennis, they don't understand the financial part, and once you start explaining to them how much it actually costs, they run away. They don't. And I think there should be a bit more education in that, and maybe a bit more support, and some governments give more. But you're right, you got to be lucky in the right place and find the right team. And obviously if you can be 1 or 2 in your country, there's always a bit more financial support. And if you're getting the wins, money finds you.
That's the tricky part, is that when you actually also when you become better, even if you're one of the best in the world, at least in Denmark, because it's a small country and we don't have like France or America or England or Australia who has Grand Slams, who has a lot of money. So even if you become very good, you don't get necessarily everything paid. You have to put in the money as yourself or find the sponsors somehow, and it requires a lot. And maybe once you get very good, maybe then people will support you, but then you earn your money otherwise in another way as well, both prize money or big sponsors. But the early stages, it's expensive.
Yeah, well, I do think it helps. There are some very generous people out there in smaller countries where they've made a lot of money through business and they love tennis and they help to support some of the young players. I do have to laugh at Casper Ruud. If you ever see any of the younger photos of him, his whole shirt was just covered in sponsors, and now he's just like a walking billboard. He's
still. I was commentating last night, and the team and himself, they're covered in sponsors. So, but that's what it requires, try to raise money to make the right team and be able to give them the opportunity to be as good as they can. But it requires a lot. Also behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you say it's not all good. It comes with stresses and challenges, and yeah. So you're speaking of another junior. There's a junior we post a good few videos of at the minute. It's Philip Dianti. Is that how you pronounce his surname?
Philip
Dianti. Okay, he's 10. And he's quite technically he's brilliant. I saw a few of his videos. He's quite intelligent as well on the court. He knows when to move in and what shots to play. How long have you been working with Philip?
Since he was 6. So when I was in HRK, we took a couple of the most talented players to work with, and there was Philip and actually another girl who was also 6. So we took them pretty early. So I've been working with him since he barely could throw a ball.
So let's just talk a bit about his experience over the year and a few questions I get asked about juniors at that age. At 6, what sort of level did he have when you first saw him?
Well, he had the eager. That you could see it straight away that he really wanted it. He wanted to practice. He wanted to learn. He wanted to win. He wanted to have fun, and he just had the eager, the passion, and then he had to learn the right technique. So, he had to learn the right grip. He had to learn the right swing. He had to learn the right setup. He had to learn how to throw a ball so he could serve. He had to learn the footwork. So we used a lot of time, both on court and off court, to make him an athlete and make him be able to do what was required for him to learn the right technique, both physically and tennis-wise.
But let's say at 6, had he been playing tennis for like a year or 2 years, messing about? Is that this level he was at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then moving 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A big question we get asked is, how much time should they be spending on the court at those ages?
It's a good question, because it's also a controversial subject. How much time. He wants to be on the court all day if it was up to him, and that's the kind of passion he has. So it's kind of how to limitate the thing. But the thing is also to how to build up. How many hours should he be on court with a coach? How many hours should he be playing with some of his own age? And how many hours should he just be playing around? Just finding out himself. And it's a little bit mixture. And of course, there's I think in the beginning we were doing with I think now I take it on my memory. I'm not sure if I do it tell you the right thing. But in the club we were doing, we gave them 2 hours, two times 1.5, 2 hours, I think it was, every week. And I think I was doing with him also privately, maybe 2 times a week. So with the focus on technical and the athleticism, to make him an athlete. And it's just been, then we slowly build on that, to gradually take it more and more. And the main focus has been in the beginning, but actually always was to give him the best technique as possible in all the strokes. I wanted to make him to make a complete player, so he could we could see later, what kind of player he would become. You don't know how tall he's going to be. You don't know if what his weapons are going to be. So I like to give him a lot of tools to work with. So try to make him good forehand, good backhand, good serve, good smash, good volleys, good slice, and then also at the same time give him a good sense of the tactical thing. So he's already getting smart in a young age to see how he uses the how to set up the points, how to win the points, how to build the mental part also. So in my practice, I always try to build both the technically, the physically, the mental, and the tactical aspect of a tennis player. Because if you only work on one thing, he's going to be very good at that, but he's still lacking the other parts. So it has to. To be a good player, you need to have at least those 4 pillars that I was talking about.
And let's say now, as a 10-year-old, how much time is he spending on the court with you, with a group, and then on his own? And also fitness as well. I'm sure he's starting to do a little bit of that.
He's doing himself also. He cannot sit still. He has a gym at home. So I just received a video last night where he was standing on a board juggling, because I was when he was very young, I was trying to make him juggle with the balls, and now he's doing it on a balance board as well. So just for fun, I didn't tell him to do that, but he's just doing it. Well, I think he's playing a lot, and it's always a balance to see, okay, is he playing too much? Because we don't want him to top when he's 10 years old. We want him to top when he's a senior, and that's always the tricky part, is that to pace them. And I don't have a set goal of how many hours they have to or they don't have to, but there's a certain amount of time that he requires. He's playing every day, but I'm strict when he's home that he has at least one day off where he's not playing tennis. Then he's running around playing football and everything else, which I also want him to do a little bit other sports. And it's been also
he's always played other sports. Has he tried to play other sports?
He tried to play football in school and in his free time, and actually it was part of my agility with him to play football with him, to do other sports, throwing balls and stuff like that, because he was not necessarily going to football as a regular, but for me it's important that he get other sports somehow, and he loves that. He loves to play football. He loves to swim and do other things, but he has pretty much, he's playing every day. Some of the day 2 times a day, some of the days 1 time, and then he's doing the agility and the fitness on the side. So he's putting in the work, as you can say. But we're always looking very, very carefully, very strict, that if he's tired, if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to go. He always have to really want it, and sometimes we say no. Now you have to relax.
And he's probably like, no, I need to. But what about from the parents' side? I know his dad, Peter. How are they just looking up from on top, and like you're sort of in charge, or are they really involved also? Well, I actually like. I know there's a different kind of opinions about parents, but I really like to have a close relationship with the parents. Because in my experience, that's the best way to work with the players. Because if you don't work with the parents, you cannot go separate ways. Maybe you don't talk the same language, and at the end of the day, the parents are always going to be there, and they have a big voice. So for me, also when I was with Holger and Clara, I was working very closely with the parents, and also now with Philip, I'm working very closely with the parents. Plus, the parents also see a lot of the matches. When I don't have time to go to watch matches, they see the matches. And Peter is actually very good at giving notes and telling me how the plan was going, how he was playing. All the things that we are working on the day-to-day life. Then he's very good at giving me feedback on that. So he's kind of assistant coach, if you can say that, or the head coach, kind of how you look at it. It must get tricky when I'm sure some parents like to call the shots and they want to override you. And I think that's the challenge for a coach and a player.
Yeah, no, but right now, honestly, they trust me very much, and I really appreciate that. So we have a very good trusty relationship. So there's right now there's no problem. I'm the main coach, and they are supporting us as much as they can and doing a good
And
job at that.
how did you get players such as Holger and now Philip and previous Clara invest in see the long-term potential, like not the results today, not be the absolute best today? I know it helps if you're the best today, but how do you paint that picture of, look, success is 10 years away from now?
Well, I think it's a lot about everyday talking, how to see how to, because we're talking about it all the time that it's, the player always wants to be good now. But the coach are always looking at, okay, I want you to play well now, but I want you to play so you're better tomorrow and the day after, and even better in 1 month, in 1 year, in 10 years. So that's my job to tell them that. And I tell them all the time, when they get angry and they don't follow the plan. We have a plan in a tactical setup where they have to focus even on the tactical and the technical thing, and they only go for the result. And they fail. I tell them, okay, it's because you didn't focus and you didn't follow the plan that we were doing. And I don't want you just to be good now in this exercise. I want you to be better tomorrow and in 1 year and 10 years. So it's kind of an education, everyday talk that you need to have. And it's quite funny because when I stopped playing, I started out with the Davis Cup and the older players, and the better, the more I knew about the coaching, the younger I've been going with the players, because then you can kind of build their mentality and how they look at the world and also how they handle stress and the whole thing. If you get them later, it's tougher. It's much tougher to work
Habits.
to change big things. Yeah, habits or your personality. It's tough to change your personality when you get older. Do you get nervous in the matches? How do you see it as an opportunity or as a stressful thing? And I think you need to learn how to handle those things in a young age and look at it's a way of looking at life, actually.
How do you handle a situation like that where tough situations, you take on the challenge, you don't get stressed, you see it as an opportunity? How do you teach something like that?
Well, I try to teach it very young. Again, it's for me, I kind of say to them, what is it to be brave? Everybody wants to be brave. And a lot of players, they go, it's going for your shot or to stay in the rally or whatever. And for me, it's just an example. There's many things, For me, it's very brave to dare to play the plan that gives you the best chance to win the point, even if it's a break point or set point or match point, because it might require that you stay in the point, or it might require that you go for your forehand. I don't know, but that you learn every day. You have a lot of exercises where you have to do what's right to succeed, and also try to have a perspective of life that tennis is a game where you miss. It's a game of where you lose. It's a game of where you missed opportunities, and that's just tennis. You have to accept that, and that's players can come out from a match and say, okay, I had a break point there, I had a set point there, I had a match point there, and it's like, okay, that's tennis. The opponent probably also had some chances. So all you can do is go in, do your best, and shake hands at the end of the match, and hopefully you played as well, so you could win the match. And then also there's a lot of good role models out there. I love how like an Nadal is handling it. Also at the press conference afterwards, also Federer. There's never any excuses. There's always, okay, you go out and do your best. If the opponent was better, okay, it hurts that I lose, but I have to go back and work and do better. But for me, it's not just one sentence. Now I've been saying something, but it's kind of an education on how you look at life. If you take it as a stressful thing, or if you take it as an opportunity and something that you actually like. Because I like Holger. He's the kind of guy that you want to, if you have let's say in a Davis Cup match, you have a decisive match, and it's 6-all in the fifth set. He loves that. You can see it in his eyes. He's almost smiling. That is what you really want a player to have, is that they like the stressful situation. They thrive in those moments. They live for those moments to be able to stand on center court in Roland Garros or Wimbledon or court 23 in some country. But if it's exciting, then they're thriving, then they're smiling, then they really want to be there, and instead of hiding. But that's a teaching thing, that's a way of.
I think it starts in court 23 in some country. You don't just show up at Wimbledon with it all of a sudden. You've had it your whole life, or you taught it. Yeah, and the decision making thing totally. You say is interest. Because you see the level, like top 200 guys, levels up there, but it's about who can play the right shot at the right time and who can make it. And it comes down to how do you bring that into practice and teach them to make those right decisions.
Yes, and it's part of the practice. Of course, you learn it also by a lot of things. Is you have to learn by playing matches. But in my opinion, you can teach it in practice. And if you don't practice the stressful situations, then you're gonna have a tough time doing it in matches. So it's something has to be part of your practice to put the players in stressful situations to be able to perform on a daily basis, so they get used to it. So it's not a stressful thing, but it's just normal that you get pushed, that you have to perform all the time in different exercises. So for me, it's just a part of the daily routine to put to that. Now we use stress as a negative thing, but it's like for players who like competition, it's not stress. It's just like you put some competition that if you do this, you get to this goal. If you do this, you get to this goal. So it's kind of learning how to put. For me, it's how to to make a plan. You have a goal. And that could be in a match. You want to go and win the match, or what is your objective? Is to win the match, or is to follow your plan? The same in practice. What is your goal? It could be, I want to hit the target this many times, but it could also be, okay, I want to follow my plan. So after the goal, you make your plan / tactical plan to say, okay, how do I reach my goal? And this is very important. That's part of my practice every day, is that to teach them this, that you have to have a goal and then you have to have a plan. And what happens if you get pissed or if you get nervous? You have to have certain tools to handle the stress and the nervousness. So I try to give them tools to handle the stress and the nervousness doing those exercises. And it's kind of funny when you're doing the right exercise, you actually provoke the same feelings that they get in the match. So I think it's about doing it every day.
Normal. And they do say, like, obviously when you're outside your comfort zone, that's when you're stressful. But they say outside the comfort zone is where the opportunity is. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's it. Yeah.
You have to be. It's also, you cannot hide. If you want to be a good player, you cannot hide. You cannot. You should not be stressful that people are watching or people are looking at your results, or you have to get used to that. It's part of.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, before we're going to talk a bit about your career now, your tennis career, some of your big epic wins. I'm going to ask you, how do you think Holger will do in 10 years' time? Could be 15 years' time. Do you think Holger will be world number one? Will he win slams? What's your prediction? Because you work so closely to him and you have the experience of the tour.
I always thought that Holger had the potential to be number one in the world and win Grand Slams. He has that X factor. He has the potential. Of course, there's a lot of work to be done before he reached that goal, but he's one of the biggest talents out there. So that's it. That's his potential. And I thought he had that potential since he was 10 years old or something, 9, 10, 11 years old. I don't see anything why he doesn't have that potential. Of course, now he's part of the ATP Tour. He has a career high ranking, I think 26. But of course, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. And he still needs to improve some things to be able to reach his goal. But he still has that objective in sight that he wants to be the best player in the world. There's also other good players who has the same potential. Like right now, the most obvious one is Alcaraz, who's doing really well. I cannot see him not winning Grand Slams in the future, and also had the chance to become number one in the world. You never know. Unfortunately, you can also be can get an injury, or there's different things that can happen. But I think Holger has the potential.
There's always that honeymoon phase at the start, isn't it, where you make a breakthrough, nobody knows how to play you, until I'm sure all the other players have a chat and go, this is how you play this new guy. And then it takes a year or two for them to readjust. And so that's always interesting to see with these guys.
Yeah. There's always, it's always easier on the way up. It's not easy, but it's always like you're on a high roll. You get a lot of confidence. Everything's new. Everything is exciting. I tried it also myself. There's no downside in the beginning. The first 1.5 year, there's no downside. And then kind of you need to pace yourself also there. If you play too much, you're getting tired. The players are starting to know you, starting to know how to play you, to expose your weaker side. And then you have to evolve as a tennis player. You really have to prove yourself that you not only as good as when you were breaking through, but actually you're getting better and better. And that is the objective you have to have all the time. You have to get better and better. But I have in this regard, Holger has all his junior career has always, when he came from tournament, come home, okay, this and this has to be improved. So we have to work on this. And we had a long-term goal and a short-term goal. So since very young, he's used to working with goals and getting better.
And you were Danish number one for about 7 years, is that right? More.
I think more. I played for the ATP Tour for 16 years. And I think there was only a short period of time where there was two players who for a short period of time was a little higher than me. So most of my career,
I underestimated that. Sorry, but how did you handle pressure being your country's number one player for so long? Obviously, there's expectations from the press, from your family, from yourself, and how did you deal with that?
I had to get used to it. It was tough in the beginning. I didn't have it was a different time. I didn't have a full-time coach. I didn't have the setup that Holger has, for example. I was traveling a lot with myself alone. I had the national coach was maybe traveling with me for 4 to 6 tournaments a year, and I was playing like 28, 30 in the beginning. So I was a lot by myself. And I had a tough time in the beginning it was easy when if you have a team, you listen to your team. You trust your team 100%. But in the beginning, it was, I was looking at myself and people were telling me different things. Also, even the newspapers, in the beginning, I was reading what they were saying in the newspaper and say, okay, maybe they're right. Or I had to get used to that. I had to trust myself. I had to get a coach. I had to do what I thought was the best thing, because that's the only way to do it. But the Danish culture was not as far as it is now. And then, so I was a lot on my own, and I also had to get used to all the expectations and that people had an opinion about me in the beginning. So it's tough.
You've learned now you can offer your other players that advice. So
that's one of the things that I think it's nice, because I made mistakes. In my career, I took some decisions that was maybe not the best ones, but at least I look back and I say, okay, I should have done this and this, or if I had this and this setup, it was a little bit luckier that I had a setup that was different. If I had taken some other decisions, try to give that knowledge to the younger players now. It's one of the.
Well, that's why it's important for a junior player, to surround themselves with somebody who's sort of been where they want to go, because they understand it. And how much do you miss, or you don't miss, being on the tour and competing?
Well, actually, I was on the tour for 16 years, so I took the decision myself. At that time, I was 34, which was very old at that time. Not these days, but at that time, it was very old. And I was thinking about maybe taking half a year off because I was really tired mentally. But at that time, taking a half year off when I was 34, there was nobody playing after 34 at that time. Seemed like, okay, it might be the right time to stop. Or one of the things that I'm looking back on now, I could have maybe continued playing doubles and stuff like that. But it was not kind of in my head at that time. I don't, I'm at peace not playing myself anymore. I'm coaching now, and that is my passion now. But the tough thing in the beginning was the it's a very privileged life being a professional tennis player. It's stressful, it's hard, but it's also a privilege that you're working with your hobby, and also the lifestyle with traveling and trying to be your best at what you love to do. It's a privileged life, and sometimes not so much now because I'm get used to not traveling so much, and in my coaching career I also been traveling a lot. But the lifestyle sometimes can be with traveling and coaching and not coaching, playing yourself. It's a good life. But I have so much tennis in my life right now, so it's not like I'm missing tennis.
Do you play? Do you play with the league tennis? Oh,
no, I never play any matches. I don't really have the passion to play tournaments. Of course, exhibitions and so playing with guys I used to play with. If I get invited to play with some of the older guys, it's fun. But that's more fun. But just to play on in a team match or something, I don't do that. Also, it's tough because then I really require from myself if I want to do that, I also want to play well. Because then I have to put in the work. I don't want to play.
You're not like Tommy Haas, who still loves enjoying playing so much.
No. I love to play so much. I play every day with the players that I practice. So yesterday, most of the days I'm on court playing a lot of hours. So I have a lot of playing. But I just don't play matches.
Yeah, that's the right way of saying it. And how does the body held up? Because, you speak to a lot of coaches who are never players and they're afraid of, if they get injured one day and they're like, I don't know, 45, 50, and they see like they've no money coming in because they can't be on court. How's your body held up after a tough pro career? You had some injuries yourself. And how are you every day after spending hours on court playing with these kids?
Well, so far so good. Knock on wood. It's been good, but I also try to do the work. I try to do my gym. I had 2 shoulder surgeries, so I kind of have to do my work so my shoulder doesn't hurt, and also so I don't get injured. So I try to keep in shape with the gym and also with the playing. So of course sometimes I get a little bit hurt somewhere.
Good.
But
looking back at your career, I know, what was it like to beat Edberg at Wimbledon, a fellow Nordic player? Like, that must have been unbelievable. Tell us about it.
Well, that's maybe the one match that I enjoyed playing the most in my career. It's not the biggest result of my career, but it's, I grew up, there's many reasons why this is a nice match for me to look back at. And I grew up in an age where in Denmark we only had one TV channel, and then we could also see 2 channels from Sweden across the country, across the sea. And then the only tournament I was watching growing up was Wimbledon. It was the matches that inspired me and my father. My father started playing tennis just a couple of years before me. Was the matches of Borg McEnroe, late 70s, start 80s. And I was, for me, Wimbledon is just by far the biggest tournament. And for me, my childhood was always the Wimbledon. So when I played Edberg on center court, just walking on court, where I saw the sign where it used to be Borg McEnroe, it was Edberg Carlsen, and my coach was sitting where the coaches of Borg and McEnroe used to sit, and the Rolex watch was still the old center court, so it was the same court. So everything was the same as when I was growing up, and it just gives me goosebumps just talking about it. And now you're talking about pressure. It could be a pressure, but for me, I was just enjoying every single moment of this match. And I lost the first two sets, 7-6, 7-6, and I had set points in both first and second set. But I tell you, I never experienced this, but both before and after. But every changeover, I was just looking forward to the umpire saying time. I was just enjoying this match like nothing else. So it was just a huge privilege to play on the center court, and it was a nice memory to look back on, but also maybe the
and
match
also
that
to
I
beat
enjoyed
Edberg,
playing the most in my career.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. He won Wimbledon a couple of times before, and was still good at that time when I beat him. So it was a huge result for me in a young age. I was still in the beginning of my career still. So yeah, it was good. Unfortunately, I got sick the night between this match and the next one. So I had to retire in the match after against Björkman, throwing up on the court. There's not many players, I think, who threw up on center court, on Wimbledon courts.
Oh, well, sorry.
I'm one of them.
That would have been a good. Björkman was great as well. And do you have children? Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have my own children. I'm with my girlfriend has 2 children. So I have children in my life.
Is that the match you tell them about? If they say, "Oh, tell us about your favorite match," is that the one you go to? Or is there another one that sticks out?
We rarely talk about tennis and my career. Talking about that. Well, it's, a lot of people talk about this match because they had some good memories about this match, and I really enjoy this match. So I like that too. And it was in Wimbledon, the biggest tournament in the world. For me, to winning the tournaments that I won, it's bigger results. But this match always stands out, and there's a lot of people who are talking about this match. So and I definitely don't mind because I have only.
You have a winning record against Federer. Not many people have a winning record against Federer. Did you play him in Indian Wells? Was it? Miami. Sorry. And how old was he at the time? How old were you? What sort of?
A good question.
Okay.
My guess would be that he was 19, but he could be. I don't know. It was in the beginning of his career, before he became Grand Slam and world number 1. I don't remember exactly. I think it was in '99. When is he from? So we can kind of figure it out.
He was born in '81, so maybe 2000.
81.
Okay.
Oh, he was younger then. Maybe he was 17.
Did you know
18?
about him back then? He's going to be this great player. Or was he just like he's a new player on the tour?
I was just trying to figure out how old he was. Sorry, I think he was a very good player in a young age. Everybody was talking about him becoming the greatest player ever. He had a little bit tough time in the beginning of his career in the Grand Slams, and everybody there was kind of getting expectation and say, okay, when is he going to break through? But when he broke through, he really broke through, and the rest is history. He just, for me, he took tennis to another level. Tennis was good before, but he just took it to another planet, the level of tennis. And then, of course, Nadal came and brought something else to tennis. And then Djokovic came, and this generation has just been incredible. It's going to be really tough in the future for future generations to match this 3. But I think Federer was the one who pushed the boundaries and pushed the limit.
I think it was 1999 at a quick look. I think there'll be more players that will come that'll push the boundaries even further, whether it's Alcaraz, somebody else, because I'm sure when Sampras is around, who is ever going to win more than all those Wimbledons? And it's just crazy. But did you ever play Sampras and Agassi?
I did, yeah. Unfortunately, I only played Sampras once. And I lost, and unfortunately I didn't have my best match. I still blame myself. I was eating too much before the match and was like hit my stomach, and I'm not saying that I would have won the match, but I'm still kind of pissed at myself that I only played it once in my life, and then I didn't even perform at my highest. So, but Agassi I played a couple of times, and I just remember the first time I played Agassi, he was for me at that time the greatest returner. And if the ball just came back so fast, and one of my big weapons was my serve.
And what's it like for you? One of your weapon, your biggest weapon is your serve, and this guy's just cranking back returns, and you're like, how am I going to hold serve today? What's that feel like?
Yeah, exactly. That's the stressful thing. If you have a good serve, like me, I was living on my serve and my forehand, and hopefully I was giving some free points with my serve, or I get time to get around my forehand and I hit my forehand, and I didn't get the time against Agassi, so I had some troubles against Agassi. He was just
it was such a privilege for you to, you played a mixed era of players, and we just end this with, like, we talked a lot about juniors, and what advice do you have for juniors out there who want to be successful from the experience you have? What's the key ingredient they need to work on?
Oh, it depends.
Let's say the 14, 15-year-olds who are, they may be the best in their country, whether it's Ireland, the UK or the US, but what's going to help make the difference that they can give themselves the best chance to break through?
For me, it's a lot about having a good team around, so that can teach you all kind of things, both in life and on court and off court. So for me, it's again, I come back. You need to be good. You need to have a good foundation of technique, tactical understanding, physique, and mentality. And then you need to have a team that can improve those things together with you. Because it's going to be tough for you to do it alone. So it's important to have a good team, to get the financial support somehow, that you can both practice as much and as good as it requires to be good, but also travel and play the right tournaments that you require to evolve. And I'm not only talking about ranking, I'm talking about how you get the best match set up, the most competitive matches, and kind of try to build on your talent all day, every day, from day to day. So you need to have the good foundation in your game.
Brilliant.
And then have a good team around.
Thank you very much. Hope the commentary keeps going well, and I look forward to seeing more videos of Philip as he gets better over the next few years.